Now? Call the meeting to order, please. Dr. Deegan, the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Here. Ms. Nyworth. Here. Dr. Bridges. Here. Mr. Jester.
Here.
Ms. Kelly. Ms. Edwards, I'm sorry. Here. Ms. Colonel Curtis is absent.
It's Ms. Kelly. No special guests?
No special guests.
Departmental reports.
Under departmental reports, we have item 5A, and it's the information update. Pardon me, I don't know where that came from. Business Ed Services, Educational Services, and if the board doesn't have any questions, that's the printed report. I'll move on to item 5B, and that is an information item, State Department of Education Certified Dropout Report, and for that we'll have Mr. Rick Owens present to the board. Mr. Owens, is that a new microphone?
Yes, I'm not going to grab it.
No, I just thought it was kind of nice.
We've had it about 3 months.
Really? I just noticed it today.
We said it back when he wouldn't grab it.
Okay, that's why it looks different. I never noticed it.
Good evening. I'll probably still try to reach for it. There are two reports you have. One, if you'll look at that one, it says finish out the year. What that is, those are the kids that start in August and they stay for a whole academic year. Okay, that's the one we report to the Office of Quality and Accountability. And you can see that, and I assume we would have questions. Last year, which would be 2016, we had 151 dropouts. This year, we're at 92, so we've improved quite a bit. And you can see at the top we had, LPS had 98.7% that finished the year from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade. And the reason that's important is because with House Bill 3218, that's the second one. The reason that's important is because comprehensive support is if your graduation rate is less than 67%. And target support is if your subgroups fall below 67%. Reward schools are graduation rate of 80%, and this is cohort. So if you look at this one, with the House bill, I gave you just an example there because the cohort data for 2017 is not available yet. But I wanted you to look, this is how you'll see it next year, and possibly even later this year. I can give it to Dr. Deegan when it does come in. But you can see red target support subgroup, but the problem with this report in 3218, House Bill 3218, is the subgroups are listed in a priority order. For example, everyone that's economically disadvantaged would fall into that, but they would not fall into the next subgroup. You're only counted once with House Bill 3218. In the past, they've been counted like if you were on an IEP and you were economically disadvantaged, you would count as economically disadvantaged subgroup for target support and IEP for target support. But in the future, from here on, you only get to qualify one time, and then, so you'll see that the red will probably disappear in some of those subgroups, for example, in Eisenhower and Lawton High. But I wanted to give you this. And another reason that I think our dropout is down is because we have an ACE part-time that we utilize at Eisenhower High and Lawton High, and we're thinking about putting that in at MacArthur High School also. And as far as ACE remediation, those funds they're no more. We had some carryover, and we used that this year to purchase Odyssey wear for the schools. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Owens, he knocked out 5B and 5C very efficiently. No questions over either of them. We have the report of the superintendent. Under item 6A is the information item, which was the update, which was included in the agenda of the 2014 bond and sales tax funds. That's monthly. And of course, if the board has any questions over those, I would like entertain them. But otherwise, I have item 6B, which you just received. My apologies, I had not given Denise the copy. The Bond Oversight Committee met today, and just for a recap for everybody in the room, the Bond Oversight Committee meets twice a year, once prior to the April board meeting and once prior to the November board meeting. Except for last year, we didn't meet in May because there were a lot of projects that I requested they give us another month to report on. The purpose of the committee is not to recommend, although they have made recommendations, but their main purpose is to oversee the money purchased in the last 6 months, and whether or not it meets the, not only the letter of the law, the actual language on the ballot and the resolution, but either whether or not it meets the letter of the law, meaning, or the spirit of what the district communicated. And so they have a very simple report, which they've provided to the board, and it does say that they are pleased with the expenditures, and they do meet all both the spirit and the letter of what the district has communicated. So the only other thing that we worked on in there is we have invited about 5 new members, and at the November 16th meeting, I'll be bringing an official list of who is comprised in the Bond Oversight Committee. And the committee discussed the last time tiering everybody's membership, so they're not on there for life. So everybody will have a number of years for their term, and we'll approve official list moving forward. And tonight, Ed Peterson, who I want to commend, he served as one of the co-chairs. We have co-chairs. They alternate going off every year, so we always have 2 co-chairs. He has served for 3 years, and so Ed Peterson, he has been with us from the beginning, and he's still going to serve for a couple more years. But his time as chair is moved on, and Brian Henry took his place. So now we have Reverend Whitlow and Brian Henry, who are now the co-chairs of the Bond Oversight Committee. So on all counts, I want to thank all of them, but especially Ed for putting in 3 years in that position. Any questions over the report? It's good news. All right, under item 6C is the action item. And for this, I'm going to turn it over to BOK Financial Services. Very thorough.
Just had a couple for me, which is good. Good evening. This was the 5th series from the 2014 authorization. Today we accepted bids until 1. They're shown here on this sheet. We got 2 bids, and I think there's a lot on this sheet, so I would just have you focus on the 2 far right columns over here, the net interest cost to the school district and then the average rate. It was an extremely close sale, which we like to see. It was very competitive among these 2 firms. UMB Bank was the low bid at an average rate of 1.778221, followed very closely by Country Club Bank at 1.790820. The total interest cost on the bond issue, the difference was about $1,400 total dollars. So very extremely competitive. I want to give credit to the school district for accelerating this issuance into the end of this year. I think it was a good time to be in the marketplace and fix this rate now as we have this open-ended discussion on tax reform and what that might look like, the Fed unwinding their balance sheet and things of that nature. So to get in the marketplace now get this rate fixed. I think that was a favorable choice by the school district. And I think that overall it's a very competitive, strong sale. A couple of more things. I think importantly, we were using a higher estimated rate in all of our estimates to this point, both for this year and next year in terms of the tax rates. And so to see these under what we had in our estimates, I think it was a good day for the taxpayers, which we always like to see. These are two banks who are in the marketplace a lot, especially in Oklahoma. We've worked with them often. We would recommend that you award the bonds to UMB Bank at an average rate of 1.778221. And if there are any questions on that firm or the sale itself, I'd be happy to answer them.
What's the premium?
I knew you were going to ask that question. And no one in 100 years has figured out a good way to explain it, but I'll try. So state law says that you can't sell the bonds for less than 100 cents on the dollar. And so the premium is generated when the coupon on the bond is higher than the yield, as the eyes kind of glaze over in the eye. And so when the coupons are higher than the yield, the bond is sold at the bonds are sold at a higher than 100 cents on the dollar, 101 cents, 102 cents. And that accumulates into the total premium on the bond sale. Now, generally speaking, the firm who's supplying a bid holds back some of that for themselves. There's these are all firms that are in the business of generating a profit, and so there's a little bit of that usually they keep for themselves and they send you the rest. And so what oftentimes happens is these firms generate a bid on the bonds and the coupons are higher than the yields to create that premium, which allows the bid to be submitted and awarded in accordance with state law, and then the firm who wants to keep the least amount gets to win the bonds. And that's a general, that's probably not fair to the work that they do on the bidding, but that's what that means. And so the coupon rates on the bonds, is this too much or should I keep going? The coupon rates on the bonds. Okay,
I'm totally confused already.
All right, so the coupon rates on the bonds are what the interest is calculated off. So in this case, the 2019 is at 1.50, the 2020 and 2021s are 2.50. And so those are the stated coupon rates on the bonds at which the bondholder gets their interest.
I'm convinced you understand it.
The yield is slightly less, so so the bottom line there is that we subtract the premium that they're going to send to the school district from that gross cost, and the net cost is the result. So that's what we really look at, is after we factor in the premium from their bid, what is the net cost to the school district? And so the gross cost could be higher by the winner, but if they send you more of that, the premium back to offset the interest cost, then they could actually win, which is what happened here. I'm going to stop talking because that probably,
You can tell
that's
you
enough.
really like your job.
Sorry, I'm a bond nerd, can you tell? Having said all that, we would suggest that you award the bonds to UMB, who was the low bid on this bond sale.
Is there a particular way we need to make the motion, or can we just motion to approve?
Second. Well, that's what we were asking, or you stating?
Motion a motion to approve as stated.
Second. Okay, Kathy?
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going to the next one?
yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
So as a school board, you must approve the issuance of the bonds. That's the third and final act that you do that the AG's office requires from you as a school board. And so this is the authorizing the issuance item. And so the resolution that's in your packets looks like this. And this resolution, it basically shores up all the remaining outstanding items on the bond issue. It prescribes the form of the bonds. It finalizes all of the offering materials that were associated with the sale of the bonds and their issuance. It creates a levy for the tax to repay the bonds. It authorizes the execution of all the forms that have to be signed to close the bond issue, and anything else that we need to do to get funds in the bank on or about December 14th. So that's the final action item that you do as a board. It's required, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any. And if you do ask one, I'll keep a really short answer this time.
I'd like to move for approval.
As stated.
I'll second. Call roll, please.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nope, back where I am. I'm going to jump down too far. Okay, for item E, superintendent's announcements, I actually have quite a few.
Okay.
I want to point out Lawton Public Schools Foundation, the Board of Realtors, Lawton Economic Development Corporation, and the Chamber of Commerce, all of whom have formally moved to support our bond measure. We appreciate that. In addition to that, I don't know if everybody caught it, but Lamont Hill's editorial this weekend as the custodian of Eisenhower Middle School, and the editorial from Barry Ozersky, one of our lead realtors. And so I want to formally thank them for all their support and make sure that the board is aware of that. In addition to that, the Young Professionals tomorrow night at 6:30 is hosting a Facebook Live question and answer about the bond. I will be there, and appreciate them putting that together. They're going to be taking questions, and I believe Ms. Edwards is going to be there, and Lynn will be there to rein me in. So they don't keep me under control. And if anybody hasn't heard, and it's probably too late to get tickets, but John Maxwell will be here in person tomorrow. And so I know several of the board members are able to attend, and several of our staff here, so that's an exciting time for Lawton. And the final thing is I want to invite board members to our administration meeting on the 13th, that's a week from today, at 4 o'clock at Central Middle School's library. We'd love to have you there. 4 o'clock on the 13th, Central Middle School Library. That's all the announcements I have. Does the board have any questions? Okay.
Approval of the consent agenda? Anyone need anything removed? Remove 7E1 for the usual reason.
And I need to remove.
I'm sorry, 7E1? Okay.
The sanctioning.
Okay.
And I need to remove item 7E4.C, the yellow pages. I just don't understand yet.
It's a,
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda with the item 71 and 74C removed.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Nyworth?
yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve 7E1.
I second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Clodfelter? Excuse me. Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Abstain?
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Reason you removed yours?
I don't recommend we leave the yellow page.
I'm just holding it. I don't have any action. I'm not going to recommend any action.
It's just a, they send you a bill even when you don't.
That's what I suspected.
So I'd put it in the trash if I was you.
Okay.
He just pulled it.
Hold it for no action.
Yeah. The 7E4C.
Yeah.
It's a small amount, but I haven't figured out the reason for it yet. And we don't have a reason for an executive session.
No executive? Okay. Okay. New business?
Oh, we do have item 12, though.
Oh, there, you're, sorry. Okay, superintendent's personnel report.
Under the superintendent's personnel report, on item 12A, we have the approval of certified and support personnel reports.
I make a motion, we approve of it.
Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
I think we will, Lawton High. If anybody wants to come with me.
Yeah, he's going to do new business.
I do have an item for new business under item 13. I'm consulting with Mr. Wade, and he believes this falls under something we can act upon. We have, I received today the bid tabulations for the HVAC projects that are before you. We did not anticipate getting them this early. We did have the opening last Thursday, but we did not anticipate getting the tabulations and recommendation from the architect yet. But as you see before you, there is a clear winner to the bids, all local considerations and everything else taken into account. And based on this information, I see no reason not to go ahead and award the bid. The reason being is I think it's important for if the board didn't want to act upon it in new business, we could set a special board meeting. But I think it's important, this is a critical thing. If the board acts upon these after the sales of the bonds today, we will have officially wrapped up, officially earmarked the funds, officially accepted the bids for every single project left over, every single major project, HVAC roofing from 2014, except for Adams Roof, which we're going to wait for after the HVAC, and the MacArthur High School cafeteria renovation, which are currently both with the architect. So I think it's not just symbolic, I think it's commendable that the board has managed to catch all of these things up in a matter of just 3 years.
Well, and hopefully we can get them done before it's hot.
Yes, hopefully. Lincoln.
Can we
and
vote all
Woodland.
four at the same time, Chuck, or do we need to do them individually?
You need to,
It's a combination bid.
combinations, you can bid them all.
All together? I'll move for approval of the bids as printed.
Second.
Did you get that, Kathy?
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
The next regular board meeting is Thursday, November 16th. Any additional meetings that we need, that you're aware of?
Thursday, yes.
Thursday.
And I believe
Flower Mound. Flower Mound.
Miss Ellis, I believe, is going to be there. Is Miss Ellis here?
Yes.
Yes. But Dr. Polk and I are doing community meetings that night, so we won't be there.
Understand.
I won't be at the next board meeting. I'll be in North Carolina. So, you know.
But she's going to vote early, she promised.
Oh, no, I'm not going to vote now.
Any other board announcements?
If not, I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
It's tradition.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.